Legendary announcer Jesse the Body Ventura used to remind fans that sometimes it's better to be lucky than to be good. As we're about to see, some wrestlers have been in the right place at the right time, getting the opportunity of a lifetime. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 7 times WWE wrestlers accidentally got pushes. So what do we mean by accidental pushes? No, we're not talking about superstars whose name accidentally got inserted into a booking sheet and won a championship, although that might explain Jinder Mahal's WWE Championship reign. We're talking about fortunate circumstances leading to wrestlers getting pushes they normally wouldn't have received. Number 1. Buddy Murphy. With so many talented wrestlers working for the WWE, it's easy for superstars to get lost in the crowd of talent on Raw and SmackDown. Former Cruiserweight champion Buddy Murphy is another example of a superstar who was having trouble getting television time. Murphy was drafted to SmackDown after the superstar shakeup but remained off screen, leading to his fans wondering if he'd ever catch a break. That changed largely due to a stroke of luck when a fan spotted Murphy backstage during the segment where Roman Reigns was kayfabe almost killed by stage equipment falling on top of him. As fans tried to figure out who attacked Roman Reigns, a screen grab of a mysterious person in the background led to online speculation whether he was responsible. According to the Wrestling Observer Live's Brian Alvarez, Murphy accidentally walked into taping, and when the WWE saw the online chatter about his possible involvement, they decided to insert him into the storyline. One thing led to another, and Murphy was confronted by Roman Reigns about the attack, leading to Murphy becoming an important player, albeit a supporting one, in the wrestling whodunit. Murphy's performance against Reigns on the 13th August edition of SmackDown was well received, including 2 tweets from the big dog himself that read, "Man, no doubt Murphy is a stud, great in the ring, and I can't wait to introduce him to the big fight. But no matter how big a man's arms are, if you hit first, you're gonna take a seat. Big Arms Buddy was no exception. Yes sir." And meant every word I said about Murphy in the ring. He said he wanted a fight and he got one. Tonight was my night, but I'm sure it won't be the last time I'll stand across from you. Number 2. Kofi Kingston. Wrestling's dreadlock dynamo found his career taking an unexpected turn when he went from being part of the tag trio The New Day into the WWE champion. As talented as he is, Kofi Kingston seemed destined to continue in the tag team action, but fate intervened when wrestler Mustafa Ali was injured prior to 2019's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, leading to Kofi replacing him. While Kofi didn't win the Elimination Chamber match, the fans' positive, enthusiastic response to Kingston led to the WWE rethinking its view of Kofi as a tag team star, considering his potential as a main event singles star. Although the WWE wasn't positive about Kofi's potential, the fans rallied behind him, leading to Kofi defeating Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania and winning the WWE Championship, a belt he's held ever since. Number 3. Kaitlyn. Accidents happen in the ring, especially with battle royals, where perfect timing is required to ensure the right person exits at the right time. This was seen at the 2005 Royal Rumble when John Cena and Batista eliminated each other accidentally. Since Batista was booked to win the match, an angry Vince McMahon stormed down to the ring, restarting the match, and thereafter blowing out both of his quads during a bungled ring entrance. In 2012, something similar happened when Kaitlyn participated in a number 1 contenders battle royal for the Divas Championship, apparently accidentally eliminating Eve Torres. Figure 4 Online's Brian Alvarez reported, as noted on last night's Observer Radio, the entire reason for the Kaitlyn push of late was a screw-up in the women's number 1 contender battle royal last week. Eve was supposed to win, but missed the apron on the clothesline spot and landed on the floor. That was why there was confusion immediately afterward, and Layla had a look of shock on her face. Based on Raw last night, it's possible Eve will end up getting the match with Layla back, or they'll switch it to a 3-way. The WWE opted to correct the mistake by having Kaitlyn attacked before her title shot at Night of Champions, with Eve taking her place. However, the Battle Royal error led to a push for Kaitlyn, and she won the Divas Championship before the end of the year. Number 4. Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is a great example of how an injury can actually benefit a superstar. In the case of the Irish Lass Kicker, she was originally slated to battle Ronda Rousey at 2018 Survivor Series in the event's interbrand matches. At the time, the inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion was enjoying a career resurgence after turning heel on Charlotte Flair and winning the SmackDown Women's Championship. However, during an angle to set up a Raw vs SmackDown rivalry at Survivor Series, Nia Hands of Stone Jax accidentally clobbered Lynch, breaking her face and concussing her, leading to Lynch being removed from the Survivor Series match and Charlotte Flair replacing her. Rumour has it the WWE wanted to put Rousey over Lynch, then go for Rousey vs Charlotte at Wrestlemania 35. Instead, Lynch's popularity grew and she became part of WrestleMania's historic women's main event, becoming Becky Two Belts. Number 5. Ronnie Garvin. Speaking of Hands of Stone, Territory-era star Ron Garvin was known as Hands of Stone for his knockout punches. During the mid-80s, Garvin began working in Jim Crockett Promotions, performing as a mid to upper-card wrestler who always fell short when it came to winning the world title, although he did hold the United States Tag Team Championship and the promotion's Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship earlier. That changed on 25th September 1987 when Garvin met Flair in a steel cage match. In a 2008 article with the Baltimore Sun, Kevin Eck recalled the match's climax, saying, "The title change occurred in a steel cage match at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit that September. As the two were battling on the top rope, Garvin rammed Flair's head into the cage twice, which led to Flair slipping and landing crotch first onto the rope. As a dazed Flair got back to his feet, Garvin, who was perched on the top rope like Jimmy Superfly Snuka, hit a sunset flip for the victory. There was a huge pop for Garvin's win." According to Scott Keith, Jim Crockett Promotions wanted Flair to regain the belt at the company's flagship pay-per-view Starrcade, but wasn't sure who to put the belt on. There were other options for JCP at the time, but they had also worn out countless other avenues. Flair won a 5-star feud over Barry Windham earlier in 1987, he faced Nikita Koloff at Starrcade the year before, and fans had their fill of Flair vs Rhodes. Lex Luger was a Flair teammate in the Horsemen, and probably was not quite ready for a push against the champ. A unification match versus UWF champ Steve Williams would have made sense on paper, but Flair has let it known he felt the UWF title was far beneath the NWA and likely squashed any thoughts of that feud. A Flair face turn and feud with his fellow Horsemen might have worked, but was probably not even considered at that point. Wrestling legend has it that the 3-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion Dusty Rhodes, who was booking JCP at the time, passed on the title as he didn't want another short reign. Although another story has it that Dusty was facing increasing heat for booking himself at the top and didn't want to deal with the negative feedback of another title win. Whatever the reason, Garvin got the chance of a lifetime and found himself wearing the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, still a prestigious belt at the time. Unfortunately, fans had trouble seeing Garvin as a world champion, and JCP did little to book him as a credible champion. Number 6. The Radicals. By 1999, the once dominant World Championship Wrestling had lost its ratings dominance over the WWF, and many WCW wrestlers were unhappy with the way they were being used in the promotion. At one point, wrestlers were told they could leave the company anytime they wanted to, and while they were under contract, management reportedly told them they could obtain releases. One such wrestler was Raven, who left WCW to work for ECW. While many wrestlers grumbled and threatened to leave, it wasn't until 2000 when 4 wrestlers of Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn obtained the releases, showing up in the WWF as the Radicals. However, fans wondered how this quartet was able to jump to the WWF, no questions asked, especially since Benoit had left WCW after winning the WCW World Championship. In this case, a stroke of luck allowed all 4 men to jump ship after a WCW agent threatened to kill them. A number of stories have turned up about what happened, and while we don't know the particulars, here's what is known. In 2016, Scott Keith discussed what he had heard about the exit. Yeah, they all went to management wanting to leave, and Graham said something along the lines of, "If you walk out with the title, I'll grab my shotgun and blow your head off," which Benoit then took to HR as a personal threat to their lives and got an immediate release from his contract as a result. Otherwise, they would have been tied up in legalities for years. So thank Mike Graham being a complete idiot for the Radicals debuting as quickly as they did. According to the book Nitro: The Incredible Rise and Inevitable Collapse of Ted Turner's WCW, Benoit led a band of disgruntled wrestlers in asking for their release. Subsequently, Mike Graham, the son of Sullivan's mentor Eddie, and a WCW road agent with deep loyalties to the booker, reportedly pulled a knife on the group before Nitro. As a result, and fearing a lawsuit, Bill Bush agreed to offer complete releases to Benoit, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, and Perry Saturn. In a shoot video with RF Video, The late Mike Graham recalls hearing the Benoit, Malenko, Guerrero and Saturn had demanded WCW fire Booker Kevin Sullivan and Mike Graham or they would leave the company. Graham met with Benoit and told him if Benoit messed with him, he'd cut his head off and put it on a stick. Graham talked of Benoit going to Human Resources and saying he couldn't work in an unsafe work environment. Graham admits lying to Human Resources about the threat, playing it off as if he threatened to beat them up. The Radicals left WCW with Benoit and Guerrero eventually winning World Championships in the WWF. Number 7. Stone Cold Steve Austin. The year is 1996 and Vince sees big things for Connecticut Blue Blood Hunter Hearst Helmsley, so plans were made well in advance that he was chosen to be that year's King of the Ring winner. However, before the tournament could go underway, wrestling's most famous incident occurred, the curtain call, where babyfaces Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon and Diesel gathered in the ring and embraced each other in a hug with heel Hunter Hearst Helmsley. The moment killed kayfabe for good, and Vince was understandably outraged by the incident, but Michaels was champion and thus untouchable, and both Razor and Diesel were on their way out to WCW. Somebody had to take the fall, and that was Hunter Hearst Helmsley. His punishment was getting knocked out of the tournament early, and in his place, Steve Austin was given the opportunity to win. Of course, as we all know, Austin's infamous 3:16 speech was made, and the rest was history. But had Hunter won, would it have ushered in the Attitude Era as early? Would Austin have been one of the biggest stars in wrestling history? But there you have it guys, 7 times fortune smiled upon wrestlers resulting in a push. What did you think of the stories? Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.